may kindly take your seats. Thank you so much indeed. We celebrate your presence, your time, and your contribution so far. Sustainability and the future. Positioning professionals as change ambassadors. And it all starts with me. Ladies and gentlemen, to give us now the opening remarks, let's have the screen ready, set. Full screen, please. Let's have the full screen, please.
She is a trailblazer in finance, strategy and governance, driving transformational leadership at the helm of one of Africa's premier professional bodies. A visionary executive and strategic problem solver, she has consistently redefined corporate excellence through forward-thinking strategies, robust stakeholder engagement and operational innovation. Passionate about advocacy, research and talent development, her leadership inspires growth, innovation and excellence, charting a bold course for the accountancy profession in Kenya and beyond. Please welcome the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, ISPAC CEO, CPA Dr. Grace Kamau,
joining us online.
Thank you so much, Mwakazi. You can confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, indeed. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Indeed, it's a great pleasure for me to join this great event, the 41st annual seminar, the second edition. Unfortunately, joining virtually due to other duties of national nature. Allow me to observe and recognize our chief guest, the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury and Economic Planning, Honorable CPA John Badi, Your Excellency, the Governor of Murang'a County, Dr. Irungu Kang'ata, the Leader of Majority in the National Assembly, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, Honorable Kuria Kimani, the MP for Molo and the Chair of Finance and National Planning Committee of the National Assembly, the Director General, Public Investment and Portfolio Management at the National Treasury, CPA Lawrence Kibet, Honorable Aurelia Rono, the PS for State Department for Parliamentary Affairs within the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the former Member of Parliament, FCPA Thomas Madegu, the former Senator, Senator Faria, all governors, and senators and MPs are present. The chairman of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, our own CPA Philip Kakai, the vice chairman, CPA Professor Elizabeth Kalunda, the council members, all of them present, senior government officials, past chairman of the Institute, we have FCPA Julius Mwatu, we have FCPA Stephen Dugadia, FCPA Patrick Mutange, and our very immediate former chairman, FCPA George Mokua. Branch leaders and committee members are present. FCPAs, CPAs, distinguished participants. My colleagues at the Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, good morning. Good morning once again. Are we excited today? Yeah, so thank you so much. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to this 41st annual seminar, the second edition of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. Seeing so many people who are gathered in our three venues, both in Sarova and Pride Inn, and also quite a number of them joining us online. I must acknowledge that I feel I'm missing out most significant event in town by not being present in person. However, I remain optimistic that technology has effectively transformed the world into a cohesive global economy. And therefore, I can still be able to join this event, even as I take care of other issues of national interest that I'm currently engaged in. I would like to take this opportunity to extend my warmest welcome to our chief guest, Honorable Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury and Economic Planning, CPA Honorable John Badi, and the Honorable Governors present, and other members of Parliament who have been with us, even starting from yesterday when the event began, including other government officials. Your presence today emphasizes the significant role that professionals in accounting, finance, and economics play in shaping the future of our nation. We are honored by your support and eagerly anticipate your valuable insights as we engage in today's discussions. This year's edition themed Sustainability and the Future, positioning professionals as change ambassadors. The theme speaks to the fourth pillar of our long-term strategic plan that was launched about a month ago, the Strategic Plan 2025-2029, the fourth pillar, which is sustainability. We can all agree that the world is facing many serious challenges, including climate change, economic instability, rising inequality, and global supply chain disruptions. It is more important than ever for businesses and governments to adopt sustainable practices. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya, like many other nations, is navigating a complex economic landscape. While we have made significant progress in promoting economic growth, we also face the dual challenge of sustaining this growth and ensuring it is inclusive, environmentally responsible, and also resilient. In this context, sustainability is especially important for us as professionals, as we are uniquely positioned to be agents of change. We must support organizations in achieving financial and operational growth, while also helping to shape policies and practices that contribute to long-term environmental and economic stability. Our chief guest, ladies and gentlemen, this year, our seminar takes place at the same time that COP29 is also taking place in Baku, Azerbaijan. That is where the European continent actually meets the Asian continent, a very interesting venue for that particular event. Among the key priorities of COP29 are securing a new global on climate finance, ensuring every country has the means to make such stronger climate action, slashing greenhouse gas emissions, and building resilient communities. COP29 primarily focuses on addressing the financing needs of developing countries, which have the lowest carbon emissions, but are disproportionately affected by climate change. Developed economies, on the other side, were expected to commit to contributions for the loss and damage fund, which would aid developing countries mitigate the impact of climate change. Despite the challenge, the Global South remains optimistic that a sustainable path for climate change, mitigation, and adoption can be achieved. At ISPAC, we believe that professionals' roles go beyond the traditional confines of bookkeeping and financial management. I was challenged yesterday by the discussion on ethical leadership led by CPA Tosef and Professor Wakindiki, the Vice Chancellor of the KCA University. Indeed, we are the change we desire to see. We are stewards of ethical decision-making, trusted advisors, and critical thinkers. Our ability to analyze data, focus trends, and recommend sound financial practices enables us to have a profound impact on the economic landscape. This edition's seminar will explore how professionals can become ambassadors for positive change. We will look at how we can influence the sustainability agenda within organizations, provide leadership in driving corporate responsibility, and champion practices that ensure the long-term health of our economy. Our challenges will require unprecedented collaboration, innovation, and leadership from professionals across all disciplines. The last few months has seen a behalf of activities at the Institute, notably the launch of our long-term 5-year strategic plan, 2025-2029. We launched the Kenya's roadmap for the adoption of sustainability disclosure standards in Kenya. We were also able to launch the public audit review reports. The Institute also was able to participate in many continental and global professional engagements, including at PAFA and also IFAC Council meetings. We were also able to host and honor our fellows of the Institute through the Fellows Dinner that was held about a month and a half ago. We are continuing to stay true to the commitment to promote standards of professional competence and practices among members of the Institute. Over the few days, we will dive into several key areas, each of which speak to the heart of this critical mission. However, I will highlight some focal points guiding our discussion this week. One is the role of professionals in driving sustainability. I want to borrow the words of Robert Schwann, an environmentalist and explorer, who said the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. Professionals are at the forefront of driving change, whether in accounting, law, engineering, health, or other fields. They possess the knowledge, expertise, and ethical grounding necessary to influence decision-making processes and foster a sustainable culture. Sustainability is not just about environmental stewardship, it's about integrating long-term thinking into every facet of decision-making, from financial investments to social impact of our work. As change agents, we can lead by example, guiding organizations and communities towards solutions that balance economic growth, environmental protection, and social well-being. In this context, professionals cannot merely be bystanders, but architects of sustainable futures. Let us suggest a few ways in passing in which professionals can lead the sustainability journey. One is embedding sustainability in business strategy, engaging in policy development, acting as sustainable ambassadors, advocating for sustainable financial and investment, and also building cross-sector partnership. So on the economic challenge, apart from that, let me address a second issue. As we turn into the Kenyan context, we must acknowledge the economic challenges that our nation is facing today. Kenya is at crossroads from inflationary pressure to unemployment rates and growing burden of the public debt. We are experiencing both the risks and the opportunities of rapidly changing economic landscape. However, in every challenge, there lies an opportunity. Kenya's youthful population and flourishing digital economy and the expanding role of renewable energy all present avenues for sustainable economic growth. If we are to leverage on these opportunities effectively, professionals must be at the center of policy development, business strategy, and innovation, providing the expertise and leadership needed to ensure that growth is inclusive and sustainable. So lastly, as I conclude, let me address the fundamental element of capacity building and ethical leadership. For sustainability to become long-term reality, it must also be backed by strong ethical leadership professionals must demonstrate a commitment to integrity, transparency, and accountability. Ethical leaders are not just about making the right decisions at the moment. It is about fostering a culture where those decisions align with broader societal values, promoting sustainability in every action we take. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I am excited about the conversations, insights, and innovations, solutions emerging from these discussions in the coming days. The responsibility to lead the charge for sustainability rests on all our shoulders. Let us strive for a future where economic growth, environmental stewardship, and social equity are not competing goals, but complementary pillars of a thriving, sustainable society. So allow me, as I make my very last conclusion, also invite you, just say that I look forward extending to our gratitude to all our sponsors and exhibitors for their generous supports to the 41st annual seminar, the second edition. Your support goes beyond just financial backing. It signals your belief in the importance of this seminar and the shared mission of advancing sustainability and professional excellence. I would also like to encourage all of you to visit the stands for the exhibitors, and especially the East Park stand, where we will be looking at resolving all the issues that you may be having, from CPD to upcoming event bookings. We currently have two upcoming major events. One is the Chairman's Ball that will be next week on Friday, 29th in the evening, which I invite all of you to join us. We also have our last event, international event this year, which will be on between the 2nd and 6th of December 2024 in Dubai, which you will be able to be assisted at our desk in terms of booking, in terms of getting all the information around that. So at this time, allow me to really look forward to great engagements throughout this week, even as we discuss the issue of sustainability and many other issues touching on our economic development and also the future of our economy. It is now my honor and privilege to invite the chairman of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, our own CPA, Philip Kakai, to make his opening remarks. Thank you so much and welcome, Chairman. Let's give our chairman a round of applause.
He embodies visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to excellence in accountancy and governance. His contributions span global platforms, including the International Federation of Accountants, the Pan-African Federation of Accountants, and the East African Community Institutes of Accountancy. Passionate about empowering future generations, he actively supports education and community initiatives, reflecting his steadfast dedication to building a better Kenya through transformative leadership and excellence. Please welcome the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, ISPAC Council Chairman, CPA Philip Kakai.
Thank you very much. Madam CEO, let's appreciate the CEO. She's the technology has been able to assist us all the way in Nairobi to handle matters that are important to the Institute and to the nation. So we've been able to link up. But before I make my remarks, I just wanted to let the Honorable CS Mbadi and the Honorable Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, the Honorable His Excellency, the Governor of Murang'a County, Kang'ata Wabarua, and the Honorable is our friend, so we know, and the Honorable PS here, that we had a partial opening ceremony yesterday, just a small one. So it today we are having the real ceremony because of your arrival. And with that, I will request that my speech becomes a bit shorter, but the issues are the same. I'll be able to make it brief so that we are able also to move same message that has been delivered by the CEO of the Institute. So thank you very much. Honorable Mbadi, CS National Treasury, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, Leader of Majority, and the Honorable His Excellency Dr. Kang'ata. Being politicians, the CEO was everywhere, but being a small politician I am, allow me to observe some little protocol. So I'll request that you allow me to recognize my council, and I'll start with the latest council member who joined council this year, CPA Wycliffe Bichanga. That is CPA Bichanga is a council member elected into council this year in May. The next is CPA Olive Gitau. She was elected in council last year. And then there is CPA Matthew Mukisu, really not order. He represents the Capital Markets Authority on council. And then we have CPA Rispa Olik, an elected council member who is serving her second term. And we have CPA John Awala, who represents the National Treasury. And like I mentioned, CS and Honorable Majority Leader, we need a non-council member. We are supposed to be 11, but we are 10. There's a nomination to be made for a non-council member, a non-ISPAC member to the council. It's an open appointment. CS National Treasury, you have the discretion to give us this council member. It's 5 years now. We've not had that council member. And then with the level of seniority, allow me to introduce FCPA Georgina Malombe. She's calling, I think, online. Georgina Malombe is a member of council, re-elected last year. Georgina, if she could be on virtual. In that order, FCPA Hesbon Omolo, an elected member of council who was re-elected last year, serving his last term. This is in order of seniority members. FCPA Nicholas Leting, Doctor, Professor, is our examiner at CASNEP. The CEO of CASNEP is a member of council by virtue of the Act, the Accountants Act. He is also involved in other important national matters in Nairobi. And not forgetting CPA Professor Elizabeth Kalunda, the Vice Chairman of the Institute. We need to review the Accountants Act, which we are doing. You see, she's called Vice Chairman, and she's a lady. So we need to review that. And CS and Honorable Mbadi and Leader of Majority, she's loyal. She's not impeachable. Allow me to recognize our previous leaders who have really helped us to grow the Institute from very few members to over 38,000 now members. And in no order, allow me to recognize those who are present and those who will be joining us. FCPA Steve Lugalia, if we could be able to see you. We always remember our leaders. He was a chairman of the institute some time back. He's now retired. So I'm making sure I take care of the retirees because mine is coming. FCPA Frederick Mutange, he was a chair of the institute in 2011, thereabouts. And he's our senior member. FCPA Julius Mwatu, our former chair of the institute. They are here. The institute has a tradition, it takes care of their former chairs. I hope the next chair will take care of me. FCPA Rose Maura, she will be joining us tomorrow. She is the second lady to be a chair of the institute. So she will be joining us tomorrow. She's also involved in some national importance, matters of national importance. And my predecessor, FCPA George Mukua, is with us here. I took over from him. I was his vice chair for 2 years, and is now my technical advisor in IFAC and PAFA. And I was loyal. So thank you very much. Allow me to also recognize a few of our leaders. CS, we have 9 branches, and they have structures. And here we are hosted by a Coast Branch, which is headed by an executive committee, and the chair of Coast Branch is FCPA Farhin. Farhin, I think they are in Prideen 2 or 1. Maybe they could be able to stand wherever they are, the branch leaders. CPA Timinaj Kamai, the branch chairman. You can see again a lady, but chairman, Western Branch. Timina. CPA Karumba, Mount Kenya Branch. Thank you very much with your delegates. CPA Kibet, North Rift Branch. South Rift Branch, CPA Getich. Eastern Branch, CPA Sylvester. I hope they are calling in. CPA Bashir, Northern Branch. Central Rift Branch, CPA Kitur. And not forgetting the branch of the CS Mbadi, Nyanza Branch, CPA Okumu, chairman. Mnapiga makofi, hawa ni viongozi. So, allow me also to recognize the existence of, the presence, of our professional bodies in PAFA, and more specifically from the East African region. And they are represented here by various leaders. And I will start with the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Rwanda. May I recognize the presence of the president of the institute, Mr. Obadia Biraro. He is joined here by his team, Christine, Karita, Mukegenya, and Agnes. Honorable Chief Guest and CS of National Treasury, we also support, and we have an institute in Somalia. It's called Somalia Institute of Professional Accountants. We have Mr. Omar Shah with us here, representing the institute. He's also a former Accountant General of Puntland State, Somalia. Allow me to recognize the presence of the delegation from Uganda, Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda, represented here by Dr. Leonard and Gloria Wakoba. Allow me also to recognize the presence of a council member from the Institute of Rwanda Isipao, that is Uganda. Bigimana Jean. No, Burundi, sorry. Burundi, OPC. OPC Burundi. Tanzania, which are our immediate neighbors in the boundary just across here, they are also represented here. And the institute in charge of accountants and auditors is referred to in Tanzania as NBAA, National Board of Accountants and Auditors. They just stand up. Very good. Thank you very much. And then, of course, we have a representative from the Pan-African Federation of Accountants, CPA Ruben Oruaru, of our own, and Honorable Mbadi and Majority Leader. We also fight our battles in the continent, and IFAC and the Pan-African Federation of Accountants. Now we have two Kenyans who are working there. We have CPA Ruben Oruaru, and I want to also announce that our Director Registration, Licensing and Compliance, CPA Benjamin Bolonzi, is joining PAFA officially this month. So we also fight for our cake. I'm not so sure, but we have our representative in the International Federation of Accountants, Professor FCPA Professor Winnie Iminza Nyamute. Is she around? She will be joining us later. So thank you very much. Let me also recognize our staff. They do quite a lot of work, led by the CEO. Staff, where you are, just stand up. Led by the various directors. We have Director Standards and Technical Services, Catherine Asimet, Director Public Policy and Research, Hilary Onami, Acting Director Finance, CPA Dan Mugo, and the rest of the directors, I think, are around, and other staff are spread across. So thank you very much. I think if I've forgotten you, don't worry, you are among others and very important. So let's move on to, we will be able to remember you another day, and we will mention your name. So thank you very much. The Institute, CS Mbadi and our Majority Leader in government has really grown, and we are really proud of it in terms of numbers, in terms of knowledge, in terms of objectivity, and we can assure you we support government, but objectively. Where government goes wrong, we have a way of doing it and correcting it objectively. We do not shout so much, but we say our things in our own way. Let me deliver a few of the opening remarks. I'll cut them short. I've already done my political statements, so that is more important. The CEO delivers the other issues. I will also request that you allow me to take up the protocols already established by the speech of the CEO, but I'll mention a few important people again. Our chief guest, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the National Treasury and Planning, John Mbadi, who is our very own. The Majority Leader, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, and Member of Parliament for Kikuyu constituency, and members, I can courageously and confidently announce that Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah registered to be a member today. So he's our member. But he informs me that he qualified in 1999. So we have given him a number, and he will be able to mention it when CS Mbadi asks for it. Honorable members of Parliament, His Excellency the Governor of Murang'a, former Member of Parliament who is also here, senior government officials, our colleagues from across the continent, members of council, the CEO of the Institute, Dr. Grace Kamau, and your staff, fellows of the Institute and CPS, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not so sure if it's good afternoon, it's good morning. Like I took note of the issues I raised yesterday, today becomes the official opening of our annual seminar, and I'm pleased to welcome you again to this second edition of the 41st annual seminar. It's a true honor to have you all here today as we engage in meaningful dialogue. I would like to welcome our esteemed chief guest, the Honorable CPA John Mbadi, Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury and Planning, Economic Planning. We are privileged to have you here today. I also want to warmly welcome Your Excellencies, the governors, members of parliament, former members of parliament, speakers, resource persons, and delegates for heeding the call to attend and share knowledge in this particular event. Honorable Cabinet Secretary, our professionals we are at a pivotal moment as professionals in our history. The theme of this year's seminar, Sustainability and Future Positioning of Professionals as Change Agents, could not have come at a better time, because we are currently in a changing world, and specifically our country, Kenya, where the economic inequalities, climate change issues, technological disruptions, and shifting social norms and cultures are issues that affect governments, businesses, and communities we serve in. Ladies and gentlemen, the accountancy profession plays very many roles as leaders, as professionals in various industries, but for the country, specifically in developing countries such as Kenya, the Institute has gained increasing significance as an enabler of the Kenya's National Development Agenda, currently being championed as bottom-up economic transformation agenda, the better agenda. It is important for professionals in all fields to be able to support government and to be able to criticize government when necessary. We are pleased to announce that we launched our strategic long-term plan 2025-2029, and we took care of the AU Africa 2023 agenda, 2063 agenda, and of course our current better agenda was also included. Key among the issues, the pillars of this particular strategic plan is the accountancy development and regulation, which has regulatory frameworks, professional standards, embracing technology under that pillar, and we have the next pillar, member value, which is it takes care of understanding member needs, professional development, advocacy, and representation. Honorable Chief Guest and Majority Leader who are here today, we have also moved into the public interest sphere, and the Institute's third pillar in the strategic plan is public interest. And here we are looking at the ethical standards, advocating for accountability, and the fourth pillar is sustainability, which is key for the operations of the Institute and the country at large. Of course, we launched the sustainability reporting standards last week, IFRS S1, on general requirements for disclosure of sustainability-related financial information, and IFRS S2, climate-related disclosures, which we know is a roadmap that will help Kenya to be able to meet the requirements of the globe. And this particular roadmap is designed to take care of both government and private sector. Ladies and gentlemen, last week we also launched the county public audit review reports, where we took members through all the last 3 years' county audit reports for county assemblies and county executives. And we've been able to write and caution our members who prepare financial statements to be able to be more objective and more transparent and accountable to the people of Kenya. In conclusion, like I told you, Honorable Guest, Chief Guest, I've made sure that this speech is as brief as possible so that we can move to the next levels. There are so many pending questions, not pending bills, pending questions that Honorable Kimani Kuria left for you. So I want to give you enough time to be able to deal with that. Ama namna gani, honorable members? As professionals and agents, we can shape the future. Let us embrace this responsibility with courage, integrity, and commitment to making a significant impact. And here I talk of courage, and I remember our discussion this morning with the Honorable Leader of Majority, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah. I asked him, where do you get this courage? And we had a discussion with him, and we remembered the president of, I don't know which number, President George Bush of America, when we had the 9/11. And President Bush said, you are either with us or against us, for those who are existing those days. So we had a chat, and I said, you have courage that I've never seen before. Honorable Ichung'wah, keep going, and as we review our Accountants Act, ensure that it is on the order paper as fast as possible. So thank you very much. It's now my honor, for protocol purposes, to welcome the PS and one of our very own CPA Aurelia Rono to make a few comments, and then I take it back to me to welcome the Honorable Majority Leader, and then thereafter the CS will be able to take it up, and we shall be able to move. I'm reminded that she's CPA Dr. Aurelia Rono. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair, for this opportunity. CS, CPA, Badi, Majority Leader, Honorable Ichung'wah, Governor, Murang'a County, Kangata, the Chair, ISPAC, all protocols observed. Allow me to take it that way because of time. Good morning. Good morning once again. Yes, you've heard my name. I'm CPA Dr. Aurelia Rono. I'm so happy to get this opportunity to address this distinguished gathering of professionals this morning. It's such a privilege and an honor to stand before you as we discuss very important issues as professionals that are touching on us as professionals and also touching on our country, Kenya. The theme for this seminar, which is positioning professionals as change ambassadors, is so timely and very relevant. I look at it as resonating very well with the evolving role of professionals in driving transformation in our societies, in our communities, in our country. I want to take this opportunity, because of time, to appreciate the Council of ISPAC, led by the APO Chair, CPA Kakai, and APO, the management led by the APO CEO, Dr. CPA Grace. It is such a great opportunity for us as leaders because we know what we are expected to do in our profession as accountants, as finance people, and also as auditors. But this is such a great opportunity to re-energize ourselves, to retool ourselves, to remotivate ourselves so that we go back and make impact, not only in our offices and also in our societies and in our country as the citizens of this country. So I take this opportunity to request you to embrace this opportunity and make sure that you reskill yourself. And when I was sitting there, I was looking at it and trying to look at what is happening, the times that we are in as a country and as a people. And I'm asking myself, if us, as public finance management officers, would do our work. When I talk of public finance management officers, I mean us as accountants, us as finance people, and also procurement people. We are aware of the standards of our profession, the ethical standards of our profession. If at all we would embrace that, and surely do it the way we learn, do it the way we are always reminded, I'm sure the issue of corruption, the issue of unethical practices will be a thing of the past. So I request you kindly, my colleagues, let's do as we were told to do in our profession. May God bless you. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CPA Dr. Aurelia Rono. May we give her a round of applause. Technology is very interesting. The others are already complaining, those I didn't mention. But when I say branch leaders with their delegation, it's the first time I'm even recognizing branch chairs. We don't even mention them. But technology is very interesting, saying I didn't mention all their names. Delegates, when I mention your chair, I mean the delegates from that particular branch are represented by the chair. Siasa ndogo ndogo ni mzuri pia. So thank you very much. I've seen some good reaction from various places. They reach me. So thank you very much. Let's take this opportunity now to welcome the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, our newest member. I don't know whether it's our junior member now, but the majority leader of the National Assembly. Initially, I used to confuse even me that Honorable Ichung'wah is a lawyer because of the way he executes parliamentary business, only to discover he's one of us. So we can actually change accountants. Baridi tunakaa nayo hapana. The courageous one is here. Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, Member of Parliament for Kikuyu constituency and Majority Leader of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you. Asante.
He exemplifies transformative leadership and legislative excellence. As chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, he showcased his commitment to Kenya's economic empowerment, while his impactful legislative contributions, including amendments to finance and tax laws, continue to shape the nation's development trajectory. Recognized among Kenya's best performing MPs, he brings a wealth of private sector expertise and a strong vision for progress. Please welcome Kikuyu constituency Member of Parliament and Leader of the Majority Party, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah.
Thank you very much, CPA Philip Kakai, our chair, CPA John Buddy, our Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, CPA Aurelia Rono, our Principal Secretary, State Department for Parliamentary Affairs, CPA Elizabeth Kalunda, the Vice Chair, ISPAC, who I have learned this morning that she cannot be impeached, which is a good thing. And that tells you that this institute has men and women of integrity who cannot be impeached. Therefore, because I knew, as the chair said, he was doing the political bit of it and left the other bit to the CEO, he was addressing me when he spoke about impeachment. And Chair, maybe I can confirm to you, I am keen on impeaching those who are not accountable, those who are not transparent, and those who are not serving the greater interest of our great country and not involved in sustainable interests of our country. Let me say, with the protocols already established, fellow accountants, good morning. It's indeed a great honor to have joined you this morning. And my apologies, I was not able to join you from yesterday and all the way to the end. I was just mentioning to the chair, I'll not be with you for long, and I'm telling the CS National Treasury, probably out of strategy, I will leave him to answer all the questions that I hear were left unanswered yesterday. And I will be watching online as I make my way to the airport to hold him to account if he does not answer properly, because that is part and parcel of my work, to hold cabinet secretaries and those in the executive to account, even as we work together. But let me say, it's a great honor for me to have joined you today. As brief as I will be with you, because I have to attend to other important parliamentary business this afternoon in Nairobi. But I'm happy to be here. The second conference for me, the last ISPAC conference I attended was in the year 2001 or 2002, when I was working as an accountant with Madison Insurance. And that is when I joined Muhasibu Sacco, who I know are one of our key sponsors of this conference. And I'm still a member of Muhasibu Sacco with a very huge debt there that I was asking the cabinet secretary to help me sort, if the exchequer can help. But having invited me to speak to you this morning on sustainability and the future, and how we position ourselves as professionals, as change ambassadors, this theme indeed reflects the urgency of achieving sustainable progress and our duty to inspire and equip professionals to lead transformative change in our nation and in the corporate organizations that we all lead. Sustainability, as we are told by the CEO, our CEO, is largely defined as the ability to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And therefore, sustainability is a social goal for people to coexist on Earth over a long period of time, and it's largely defined along three dimensions: that of the environment that we are all discussing, and the CEO did allude to it, what was happening in Baku the last 2 weeks or so; economic sustainability, and also social sustainability. But allow me to delve a bit on economic sustainability, even as we discuss environmental sustainability and also social sustainability. And I do know, because I was asked to speak about strategies that both the national and county governments can adopt to ensure that there's sustainability. And I thought to myself that this is more to do with economic and social stability, even as we speak about environmental sustainability. And you all know, right from our national government to our counties, we face a myriad of challenges, including capacity constraints, financial management issues, and gaps in service delivery. And these challenges require robust accountability mechanisms, continuous monitoring and evaluation of county performance, advocacy for reforms, and indeed in advocating for reforms and fostering a culture of accountability and transparency, as professionals, we can play a very critical role, both as leaders and also as professionals, to ensure that we drive sustainable transformation, ensuring that we have a thriving, safe, fair, and resilient nation for our people and future generations. From where I sit in the National Assembly, let me say over the last 10 plus years, when we have been devolving resources to our county government, and I'm happy that we have a county governor with us here this morning, the governor for Murang'a County, the Honorable Kang'ata Wabarua, who also happens to have served in the National Assembly and the Senate. And from where I sit in the National Assembly as a budget-making organ, we have allocated funds to county governments over the last decade, plus almost 2 or 3 years, to undertake its mandate as stipulated under the 4th schedule of our Constitution. And since the onset of devolution in 2013-2014, the first financial year when we started devolving funds, we have devolved close to 3.7 trillion shillings in the form of equitable share of revenue and other additional allocations, both conditional and allocation. And you're aware that we are in the process of a mediation process on the division of revenue bill. You've had our governors insist that they must get, with the support of our senators, our good senators, they must get a figure of about 400 billion in the backdrop of the challenges that the CS National Treasury will be speaking about. Regarding the per capita transfers to county governments, disbursements to county governments have grown from Kenya shillings 4,014 shillings in the financial year 2013-2014 to Kenya shillings 8,027 in the financial year 2023-2024. Therefore, all these years, county government's equitable share of revenue has been well above the minimum threshold of 15%, as defined in Article 203, Sub-Article 2 of our Constitution, and the equitable share of revenue has been fully disbursed under Article 219 of the Constitution. And I must take this opportunity to thank the CS National Treasury, because at the end, at least in the last 2 years, at the end of every financial year, the National Treasury has ensured that they have fully disbursed the shareable revenue to our county government. And it's also important to mention that despite the huge resources sent to counties annually, fiduciary risks have also been high in counties, as reported by the Auditor General's reports on county government annual accounts. And these fiduciary risks occur when funds are not used for the intended purpose, they do not achieve value for money, and are not properly accounted for. A case example is in the financial year 2017-2018 and 2021-2022, which marked the second phase of the devolved system of government, and witnessed a very high level of fiduciary risk was exposed in the counties, where almost 505 billion allocated to county governments during the financial year 2017-2018 to 2021-2022 were exposed to fiduciary risks. And all these fiduciary risks have been reduced, would have been reduced, and can be reduced, or indeed completely eliminated if professionals with fiduciary responsibilities assume their unique roles of safeguarding public resources allocated to county governments for service delivery and societal transformation. I therefore want to take this opportunity, because I know in this hall and in all the other 3 centers, in Pride in 1, Pride 2, and those online, we have many professional accountants working in the public sector. And I must mention, as we had breakfast with the chairman, I was asking him, what usually happens to us? When we are working in the corporate sector, in the private sector, we tend to be extremely professional. The moment you set foot to the public sector, that professionalism in a big way dissipates. And I take this opportunity then to challenge all of us as accountants who are gathered here today, mainly those from the public sector, to be at the forefront of guarding public resources from misuse and misapplication to achieve our development blueprints and sustainable development for our future generations. And I say it's a challenge to us, especially those of us in the public sector, because every other conversation you hear about fraud, about misappropriation of resources, about theft in the public sector, never happens without the involvement of an accountant, either directly or indirectly as an advisor to those who are stealing. And I say that because I have been, in my first term of parliament, I was the vice chair of the Public Investments Committee. And in every audit query you will find from the Auditor General's office, in almost all our parastatals and even government line ministries, CPA John Buddy is the immediate former chair of the Public Accounts Committee in the National Assembly before his current posting as Cabinet Secretary. And he will tell you, even in his work as a chair of the Public Accounts Committee, there is no time that public resources are stolen, misappropriated, misapplied, that we as professionals are not involved. And you also realize even those who are eventually charged by EACC or DCI for fraud in the public sector, either a CFO, a finance director, or a junior accountant is somewhere together with the others in procurement. Therefore, my challenge to you, even as we discuss the 5 strategies that I would mention, 3 to 5 challenges that I would mention, strategies that I would mention for national accounting leadership to foster for effective transformation, let us take up that challenge as accountants, that we be at the forefront. I was telling our chairman this morning again over breakfast that with all due respect to PLO who is in this gathering and Governor Kang'ata who are lawyers. Lawyers are very good in making noise, and that came from the discussion the chairman was asking me, where do you find this courage? And I told him, when you believe in what you are saying, you say it with courage. And I challenged the chairman and asked him, many a times we see other professional bodies like the Law Society of Kenya, which all, with all due respect, as I said to PLO, who is a lawyer and a teacher of law, and Governor Kang'ata, LSK is hard and very loud in public interest matters. ISPAC, the Institute of Internal Auditors, and I was here a few months ago speaking to the Institute of Internal Auditors, we are not hard. And I'm happy that this morning I've heard our chairman speak to the public interest pillar, and I look forward to hearing and seeing you engage more on the public interest pillar, because we have a huge responsibility as professionals to be those real ambassadors for change. Therefore, allow me to just mention a few of the things in my thinking that I think would be strategies that we can adopt both at the national and the county government level for ensuring that we have sustainable growth and development in our country, be it on environmental issues, economic and social aspects. One would be to align our national and county visions for unified progress. An effective transformation requires that national and county leadership pursue a common agenda. And again, with tremendous respect to the governor for Murang'a who is here, we have seen in the recent past that the national government would have the overarching national policies that we are pursuing, but out of political expediency and to serve political interest, and short-term political interest, I must say, we find county governments pursuing completely diametrical interests and pursuits. And therefore, I would really appeal, and through the Governor Murang'a, that we have a unified and common agenda, common vision, and a unified agenda in pursuit of that which we believe is in the national interest. I know there will be questions on SHIF or Taifa Care, and I'm happy Governor Kang'ata is here. Well, the national government is moving the country towards a social health insurance fund to ensure that you have universal health coverage. We have seen in our county governments governors with Kang'ata Care, Wamatangi Care, Ichung'wah Care. And I pause at times and ask myself, are we doing this because we want to serve short-term political interests, or are we doing it because we want to offer what we promised our people as we campaigned? And I say this with tremendous respect to our governors, especially those who we campaigned together with in Kenya Kwanza. Because we went out and promised the people of Kenya that we shall have universal health coverage. The national government has articulated how it wants to achieve that universal health coverage. But we cannot achieve it on a devolved function as healthcare without the support of Governor Kang'ata and other governors. I'm only using Governor Kang'ata because he's here, lest I'm accused of fighting governors. But if we don't have a unified approach and a unified vision, then that goal may not be achieved, because every other governor will want to pursue Ichung'wah care in Kikuyu County or Kiambu County that serves my political interests, but not the greater good of the country. And therefore, one of the strategies I would look into is, for that effective transformation, is having the national and county visions being unified for us to be able to achieve progress. This shared vision also demands clarity of priorities, and resources are aligned to these priorities. National and county leaders have to commit to strategic allocations of funds for immediate needs at the community level and start investing in those projects that provide long-term benefits. Let me repeat, those that provide long-term benefits, because I will invest my county resources in an Ichung'wah or Kimani care for my county, but does it offer long-term benefits to the people of Kenya? And does it align to the priorities that we promise the people of Kenya? That would be my first challenge. Two, is for us to promote public-private partnerships for sustainable development. CPA John Buddy, who is here, will tell you, and I know we all have complaints. And I think the common thing nowadays to say is about how overtaxed we are. And those questions will come, and I will leave John Buddy to answer them, conveniently so. But I was asking him, when we speak about overtaxation, and every day on Citizen TV for the last 1 week, I have watched roads being profiled in Nairobi County, how dilapidated our roads are. I move around the country, I find stalled projects where public resources have been invested, but contractors are not there on the ground because we lack the resources to move these projects forward. We are here as professionals. We are here as accountants who ought to know better, and we know better. CPA John Buddy will tell you he cannot and he will never raise adequate revenues to cater for all our needs. And therefore, a pursuit to move towards public-private partnerships for this country, and indeed the world over, that is where the world is moving. Increasingly, economies around the world are moving away from raising revenue to finance their long-term development objectives to public-private partnerships. About 2 years ago, I traveled to Istanbul in Turkey, and the airport I landed at was not Atatürk. I think it was called Atatürk Airport. And when I engaged the ambassador there, he told me that Atatürk has been decommissioned. Atatürk was their JKIA, decommissioned, and is being turned into a public park. They're only leaving one runway for emergencies because they have a brand new airport built within a period of less than 3 years as a public-private partnership project by a Turkish company. I know you have questions on Adani. Don't you? As we ask questions about Adani, whether it is Adani Energy, whether it is Adani for the airport, I saw a very public-spirited Kenyan during the demonstrations earlier this year, walking along, I think it's Outer Ring Road. And he was saying, Kibaki hakuuza airport, Moi hakuuza airport, Uhuru hakuuza airport, huyu Ruto ni nani anafikiria atauza airport yetu? And I looked at that gentleman and I asked myself, has this guy ever been to the airport? Because clearly, he looked like a gentleman who's never been to the airport. But this public engagement and discourse is good. But we as professionals, do we join in that public discourse? Because it is politically expedient, it is politically fashionable to speak about Adani today, to demonize what is being done, or can we have our input as professionals and ask the hard questions? Is there accountability? Is there transparency? Is there value for money in all these public-private partnerships? Because that is what I would expect of us as professionals, even as we encourage our national government, our county governments to pursue private-public partnerships, being key to mobilizing resources and expertise that is needed to drive sustainable transformation. Because, as I said, and John Buddy probably will speak to that, it is not possible to be able to finance all our development goals and agenda and projects through revenue that is raised from taxes. And if we try to do that, then the taxation we are complaining about today would get worse. Again, these partnerships allows us as professionals to act as change ambassadors in our respective fields, and through collaboration, professionals gain the needed tools, networks, and platforms necessary to promote best practices, foster innovation, and demonstrate industry leadership. By bridging the gap between government priorities and private sector capabilities, we can collectively push forward an agenda of sustainable growth and shared prosperity. My third point would be on investing in professional growth and development, and to encourage all of us that for effective transformation to be there, we will need to invest in professional development to build a cadre of skilled, ethical, and forward-thinking individuals. Professionals are the heart of any transformational effort. Their knowledge, their creativity, and problem-solving abilities are the engines that drive progress. However, we cannot expect them to reach their full potential without access to ongoing training, mentorship, and leadership development. And this is the point I must thank ISPAC because of the programs that you facilitate us as accountants for continuous professional development and growth. Let us also pursue a strategy where we empower professionals as ambassadors for change, and we need to recognize and celebrate the change ambassadors in our communities. National and county governments and leadership must encourage and celebrate those who demonstrate commitment to sustainable practices through awards, mentorship programs, and public recognition. As leaders, we must also engage with our young professionals and students, involving them in conversations about sustainability from the onset. By mentoring and guiding them, we are preparing the next generation to carry forward a common vision equipped with the mindset and skills needed to continue driving transformative change in our country. Lastly, as we embark on this journey, accountability and transparency are key and very essential, as I mentioned, and both national and county governments, as well as professional bodies like ISPAC and others, must hold themselves accountable for progress towards sustainability. Citizens, too, must have access to information on sustainability initiatives so that they can participate actively in our efforts and hold us accountable. And when I mention citizens, having access to information, that is where citizens get empowered to be able to hold those of us in positions of leadership, whether in the executive or even for me in the legislature, accountable. Regular reporting on sustainability targets and outcomes at the national and county levels will help also to build trust and ensure that we are moving in the right direction. Professionals, too, should be encouraged to uphold high ethical standards and embrace transparency, using their roles to advocate for sustainable practices and responsible governance. And I think with those few points, I would say if, in my view, we are able to pursue those few points, we would have strategies that would help us both at the national and county government levels, and even as professionals in the private sector, to pursue sustainability in the growth and development of our country. Allow me now, in conclusion, to ask all of us to remember that sustainable transformation is a shared journey. It's not about those in the national government, it's not about those in the county leadership, and both the national and county leadership, united in purpose, is a powerful force for progress. With a unified vision, strong public-private partnerships, and a commitment to professional development, we can lay the groundwork for a nation where sustainable development and equity are realities and not mere aspirations. I call upon all our leaders, professionals, and stakeholders gathered here and in the 3 other venues to embrace this challenge. Let us be the change ambassadors who envision a sustainable future and actively work towards making it a reality. Together, through coordinated leadership, local engagement, and the tireless efforts of professionals nationwide, we can make this vision a reality indeed, as I said. Let us remember that the transformation we seek is within reach, and each one of us has a role to play. Let us play our roles where we are in the private sector. If you transition from the private sector to the public sector, please carry with you the ethos that you carried yourself with in the private sector. If you transition, like myself and CPA John Buddy and others like Wakili Kang'ata, governor, to elective politics and to the leadership of our country, please carry the same ethos with you wherever you are. And we will therefore have sustainable development and growth in our country. Asanteni sana. I hope CS John Buddy will be there to answer many of the questions that you have. And I said so strategically because I see I have a 1 o'clock flight, not to run away. And you know, I can never run away from colleagues, and more so from Kenyans who hold us to account for the things we do. But you'll appreciate I have to be in Parliament this afternoon, at least by 3:30, so I have a 1 o'clock flight. So if you see me leaving before the questions start coming in, do appreciate that I have appropriately briefed John Buddy. I have snippets of some of the questions you have on SHIF, on Adani, and all the other many questions that you have, and I am certain and confident CPA John Buddy will be able to handle all of them. Kwa hayo mengi, asanteni sana, and it is now my duty, singular duty, to welcome our chief guest, CPA John Buddy, former Member of Parliament and now Cabinet Secretary of National Treasury. Karibu sana waziri. Yes, we can give it a standing ovation. He deserves it. Karibu.
He embodies an extraordinary blend of visionary leadership, legislative expertise, and financial acumen. As a seasoned finance professional and an acclaimed certified public accountant, his unparalleled experience in planning, budgeting, and economic analysis positions him to drive Kenya's economic agenda with precision and purpose. Please welcome the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning, Honorable CPA John Buddy.
Thank you very much. First, I want to confirm that I'll be here to take the questions that will come from the floor. Secondly, I wanted also to mention, Chairman said that he thought Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah was a lawyer. For a long time, when I was elected, many thought the same about me. But I keep on reminding the chair that I'm very proud of my profession. Actually, I had the option of becoming either a lawyer, an accountant as I am today, and an engineer, because I had the qualifications for all that. The only one where I didn't qualify for was medicine. But I chose to be an accountant. I really wanted also to be a lawyer, or accountant, and engineer, all three in one, but I couldn't be three, so I chose to be an accountant. I'm very proud to be an accountant. Accountants are very good debaters. Accountants are very professional, and accountants can express themselves as well. So, Chairman, we are not here by mistake. The Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, the Majority Leader in the National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya, and also Member of Parliament for the great people of Kikuyu constituency. In absentia, the Honorable Kimani Francis Kuria, who is also the Chairman of the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning, the Chairman of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, CPA, Philip Kakai, your Vice Chair, or the Vice Chair of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, CPA Professor Elizabeth Kalunda, Madam Aurelia Rono, CPA, PS in the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, ISPAC Council members, ISPAC CEO, who has also joined us online, Dr. Grace Kamau, FCPS present and CPS, will allow me to recognize the Advocate of the High Court of Kenya and the Republic of Tanzania, Professor Pielo Lumumba. And I'm sure, Professor, you may not even remember this, but sometime in 1996, you helped me dress up the gown when I was putting the gown as I was going for my graduation ceremony. And I had not put the kofia vizuri. You remember, there's a, how you put that, what do we call that string? How there's a, you put it on one side, and then when you graduate, and then the president says that he has given you the power to read and to do all that appertains. You know, before you graduate, you are not supposed to read. You know, even if you are reading, you don't have the power to read. So then you move it to, I think you move it to the right after that. So it's the one who lectured me. He may not even remember, because I had a cousin who was working in his office somewhere along Koinange Street. I don't know whether, Professor, you still keep that office, but I think you probably changed to a more serene environment. So you helped me do that, and please, I've reminded you that my cousin was called Andrew Otama. You know now when you will remember Andrew Awino Otama. Distinguished participants, the ISPAC Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So as my tradition, I will read my written speech, because this is a very formal engagement with the professionals in our profession. But immediately I finish, I will say something from my heart. But I'm not behaving as a truthful man. So let me start. I'm truly honored to be here with you today at the opening of the 41st Annual Seminar, edition number 2. I sincerely thank the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya for the kind invitation to grace this momentous occasion, which brings professionals from various sectors to engage in meaningful dialogue and share knowledge on crucial topics that shape our economy and society. I note that the theme for this year, which is sustainability and the future, positioning professionals as change ambassadors, could not be timelier and more relevant in light of the current challenges and opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, fostering a culture of accountability and transparency across the public and private sectors can only be realized if accountants are professional in executing their mandate, which is vital in the management of our resources. This is why I want to congratulate the Institute for the several milestones realized this year, which I want to name. One is your participation in the 2024-2025 budget process, your contribution to our national tax policy, the launch of your 5-year long-term strategic plan 2025 to 2029, which has sustainability as one of its 4 key pillars, the launch of the roadmap for adopting IFRS sustainability standards in Kenya, and the launch of the county government's public audit review reports. So I commend you for those milestones. So as a professional body responsible for over 35,000 members, now the profession has really grown. I registered when I think we were just about 6,000, because my number is 6,101. There were 6,000 registered, but some had died. So, and you know, those of you who are a little old, you know, really to register those days. I'm not saying it is easier now, but to really register, when I was doing my final exam, Section 6, actual Section 6 and 5, because I did them the same year. In an exam room, I was looking across, and I'm asking myself, why do these people want these papers really? Because they are like they have retired already. So that is how the profession was. But now we are 35,000 members strong, if not more. So as a professional body responsible for over 35,000 members, ISPAC's influence cannot be overstated. The Institute's efforts to continuously enhance accountants' competence and ensure that ethical standards are upheld across various sectors is commendable. So, ladies and gentlemen, the choice of the theme for this second edition seminar speaks volumes about the evolving role of professionals, especially accountants, in fostering sustainable practices and solutions for a better future. So as we continue to build on Kenya's economic and social development, your leadership will remain critical in helping the public and private sectors adopt responsible and ethical financial practices that support long-term growth. I must speak to sustainability and its growing importance. So Kenya's carbon footprint is changing at an unprecedented rate. Fossil carbon emissions in Kenya were 21,527,440 tons in 2022. The emissions increased by 2.85% over the previous year, representing an increase of 596,430 tons from the previous year to the current year. That is how serious our environment is getting polluted. And at that rate, I don't know whether in the short time coming that we'll have humanity, because we must do something about our environment. The challenges we face, which include climate change, resource depletion, inequality, and technological disruption, are multifaceted and complex. So professionals across every sector have a unique opportunity, and I would argue a moral obligation to shape the future. You not only have an opportunity, but you have a moral obligation to shape the future as a professional. So fellow professionals, as we stand at the crossroads of a rapidly evolving global economy, sustainability is no longer just a buzzword of a distant ideal. It is a fundamental pillar of today's decisions that will impact tomorrow's generations. So in our national development plans, the pursuit of sustainability aligns with our Vision 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, which emphasize inclusive growth, environmental preservation, and social equity. As professionals, you are not just advisors, you are not just consultants, you are not just specialists in your respective fields. You are the architects of our future. You are the ones who will help drive the transformation needed for a sustainable, resilient, and equitable world. And this responsibility cannot be underestimated. So this issue of sustainability cannot just remain a talk. We must begin positioning professionals as change ambassadors. So positioning professionals as change ambassadors calls for a conscious shift in how we see ourselves and our roles, a paradigm shift, complete one. We must move beyond the traditional confines of our disciplines and embrace a broader sense of purpose that focuses on economic outcomes, social impact, and environmental stewardship. As professionals, you are ideally positioned to influence the direction of organizations, industries, and governments where you work. Whether in finance, engineering, law, or healthcare, or any other sector, your decisions can have far-reaching implications for adopting sustainable practices and shaping policies. Now I want to speak to the role of government and policy in sustainability. What is our role as a government, more particularly the executive? As a cabinet secretary, I can assure you that the government of Kenya is committed to integrating sustainability into our national policies and development strategies. Our economic recovery and growth agenda hinges on our ability to build a sustainable economy, one that is resilient to external shocks, inclusive of all citizens, and attuned to the needs of future generations. And those are provided in our Constitution, Article 201, Principles of Public Finance. Kenya is actually a party to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, its Kyoto Protocol, and the Paris Agreement. Over the last decade, considerable efforts have been made in Kenya to mainstream climate change considerations into the country's plans, policies, strategies, projects, and programs. So the National Policy on Climate Finance and the Climate Change Act of 2016 provide mechanisms for mobilizing, tracking, and reporting on climate finance. The National Treasury has also made some progress towards enhancing the tracking and reporting of climate finance in Kenya through the development of climate change budget codes, climate public expenditure and budget review, and the first Kenya Climate Finance Landscape Report of 2021. To this end, the National Treasury, through the support of the FLOCA program, is looking to procure a local data analyst consultant to support climate finance tracking and reporting. The consultant will work very closely with the Climate Finance and Green Economy Unit, which is mandated to coordinate all matters of climate, finance, and green economy in Kenya. We are also keenly aware that the private sector, the civil society, and professionals like yourselves must play a vital role in this journey. So the National Treasury, in collaboration with other government departments and agencies, is continuously striving to create an enabling environment for sustainable investment, economic diversification, and job creation. However, these goals cannot be achieved without the active participation and leadership of professionals in the public and private sectors. So I want to speak a little about the future of sustainability, the challenges and opportunities available. We are living through tremendous challenges and exciting opportunities. So new technologies, green energy, circular economies, and social entrepreneurship are some areas where professionals can drive innovation and create lasting solutions. I urge all of you to embrace these opportunities, challenge the conventional paradigms, and find creative ways to integrate sustainability into your work. We must cultivate a culture of responsibility where the pursuit of profit and progress is balanced by the need to protect the environment, ensure social equity, and promote fairness in every decision that we take. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we know, the backbone of any nation's development lies in its ability to generate sufficient revenue to fund key public services and infrastructure. In this regard, accountants have a pivotal role in ensuring the smooth implementation of fiscal policies, supporting the integrity of public finance, and helping the government meet its revenue targets. As part of our ongoing efforts to optimize tax revenue and enhance fiscal sustainability, I am here to call on you, our country's most trusted professionals, to lend your expertise and support for the successful passage and implementation of 4 critical pieces of legislation aimed at strengthening Kenya's tax system and improving public finance management. This is not information to you, as you are integral in providing input towards the crafting of these laws. Remember, sometime, I think it was 17th of September, I issued a circular asking Kenyans to give their views on possible changes that we should make in our legal framework on matters of taxation, and I got thousands of correspondences, a lot which came from professionals, and that has informed some of the measures that we have taken back to Parliament for reconsideration. But we are still open to engagement, and that is why I call upon the professionals like yourselves to inform and provide robust debates on the same, so that we don't face the same fate that we faced with the Finance Bill of 2024. So I want to speak very briefly to the Tax Procedures Amendment Bill 2024. I know some questions will come from the floor. I am just giving an overview that these procedures, or the Tax Procedures Amendment Bill 2024, actually seeks to improve the administration and enforcement of our tax laws. The goal is to simplify tax compliance, reduce administrative bottlenecks, and ensure a fairer, more equitable system for all taxpayers. I'm sure you know the principles of taxation: simplicity, fairness, equity. That is what we want to achieve with the Tax Procedures Amendment Bill 2024. What is required of you is to educate and advise. This includes advising your clients on how to file tax returns, maintain accurate records, and understand any new penalties or initiatives or incentives introduced by the bill. Promoting transparency is also your responsibility. As accountants, you must support the drive towards greater taxpayer transparency and compliance. These amendments aim to simplify the tax processes for businesses and individuals, reduce administrative burdens, and improve revenue collection. Your expertise will be essential to ensuring that these changes are fully embraced. Now, on the Tax Laws Amendment Bill 2024, we seek to adjust various tax rates and structures, address loopholes, and introduce new provisions to increase tax revenue. The amendment may cover income tax, value-added tax, corporate tax, etc. So what is required of you is strategic tax planning. Accountants must advise clients on strategic planning for new tax obligations under the revised laws, and this includes tax optimization strategies, identifying available exemptions, and helping businesses adapt to changes in corporate taxation. I encourage accountants to proactively consult with KRA better to understand the nuances of the new tax regulations. Your involvement can also extend to advocating for fairness in the tax system, ensuring that the revised laws promote both growth and equity. On Public Finance Management Amendment, Public Finance Management Act Amendment Bill 2024 is designed to improve the management of public finances, ensuring that government expenditure is both efficient and effective. And this includes reforms in budgeting process, public expenditure management, and improving the accountability of government entities. What is required of the accountants? Accountants can be key in advising government agencies, local authorities, and state corporations on best practices in budget preparation and financial reporting. So your insights will help ensure that public funds are used efficiently and for their intended purposes. You need to promote fiscal discipline. So the amendment seeks to improve the country's ability to achieve fiscal sustainability. Accountants must work closely with public finance managers to ensure that budgets are balanced, spending is justified, and proper accounting systems are followed. Together, we can ensure that public finances are managed with the highest standards of transparency and accountability, paving the way for greater public trust in our financial systems. The business laws, which is the last one, amendment bill, is designed to streamline business operations, promote investment, and enhance the ease of doing business in Kenya. Through this reform, we are setting the stage for sustainable growth and the realization of our economic goals. It represents a transformative approach to improving Kenya's business climate. So by cutting down on red tape and introducing more efficient processes, we expect to encourage more formalization of businesses and hence expand the tax base. As more businesses can register and be taxed properly, they will contribute to our government's revenue collection. So the role of accountants as custodians of financial integrity and compliance cannot be overstated here. You will ensure that the changes introduced by various amendments lead to increased tax revenue and a more efficient, transparent, and sustainable economy. I therefore urge you to advise businesses on the proposed new regulatory framework. Number 2, to promote tax compliance and reporting. Number 3, support business formalization. And number 4, advocate for a fair and transparent business environment. So in conclusion, I would like to challenge each of you here today to think critically about how you can be part of the transformative journey of sustainability as a professional. Whether you are an accountant, or you are a lawyer, or a HR expert, or professional, or an engineer, your role is pivotal in shaping the future we all aspire to. You have the power to influence change, to innovate, and to drive the transition towards a more sustainable world. Let us be bold in ambitions, the boldness that the chairman referred to, driven by the understanding that the success of the future hinges on the decisions we make today. Together we can forge a sustainable and prosperous future for all. The government remains committed to providing a conducive environment for professional growth and encouraging collaboration across all sectors to achieve sustainable economic development. We look forward to your continued partnership as we work together to realize Kenya's long-term aspirations, especially under the SDGs umbrellas. I wish to underscore that at the heart of our economic recovery strategy is our commitment to prioritize the lives and livelihoods, peace and mutual coexistence of all Kenyans above all else. In this pursuit, we are open to working with the Institute and indeed all professionals to explore strategies that advance peace, stability, and foster accelerated economic recovery. As a start, the government is looking forward towards receiving proposals from this annual seminar on how we can better steward our economy during these stormy times. I wish to extend my sincere gratitude to you all for finding time to attend this important conference, and I will wish you fruitful deliberations in the next 4 days. But before I declare the seminar officially open, allow me to say make a few comments off the cuff. I know, Majority Leader, you are pressed for time, and I don't think I will take any offense if you exit. But if you can stay a little longer, I will appreciate. But I am conscious of your time constraints. Thank you. So, now that I'm here, I know you will ask me questions on some specific areas, and I will deal with that later on. I just wanted to mention a couple of things about our economy. And I'm speaking to professional accountants, so I'm speaking a language that we all understand. Our economy, as it is today, is resilient enough. There is no need to panic. I think at one point we were panicking as a country that our economy probably was on a cliff. our economy is looking up. I will just give you a few data and statistics. The world economic growth is averaging 3.2, 3.3% from 2023, 2024 now, and projected to grow at about 3.3% in 2025. The Kenyan economy has been growing at over 5%. Last year, 2023, our economy grew at 5.6%. It was projected to grow at 5.4%, but that has since been revised downwards to 5.2%. I even see it coming down to 5% because the first quarter of this financial year, the growth was at 5%. The first quarter of this year, the growth was at 5%. It slowed down to 4.6% in the second quarter because of some of the challenges that we experienced. And again, the third quarter, it may not grow very well at a higher rate than about 4.9%. And then the fourth quarter, we have seen an improvement in economic activity, so we expect a better growth. So our growth will be about 5%. But next year, 2025, the growth is likely to be at 5.4%. That is resilient enough as economic growth. But I will tell you that for Kenyan economy to create jobs that we want, jobs that we need, to absorb the graduates who are leaving school and Kenyans who are coming out of various training institutions, we need an economic growth of not less than 8%. Our economic growth is basically centered around agriculture and services sector. Agriculture has shown very good growth in the past 1 or so years because of the climatic changes, the favorable climatic weather, and also the government interventions in providing agricultural inputs for growth. Now, that we expect, because God seems to continue to smile with us, the weather may continue to be good. So we expect still the agricultural sector to have a robust growth. The services sector has been doing very well. Particularly the tourism sector has shown accelerated growth in the past 1 or 2 years. But we have a problem with the two sectors. Sector A is manufacturing, which is very critical for job creation. And therefore, we must be deliberate in our budgeting processes, especially for the next financial year, to allocate more resources towards helping us have better growth in the manufacturing sector, because that is where jobs will be unlocked. That is where jobs will be created. We must look at agriculture not as a means, an end in itself, but as a means to an end. The other sector that has also surprisingly shown very sluggish growth, actually almost negative growth, is the construction sector. Were it not for the affordable housing projects that we see across the country, we would have registered or recorded negative growth. And the reasons are simple, in my view. There are two reasons. One is that the private sector has not been able to access the credit market because of the high interest rates. And so we were not able to invest in construction industry. Secondly is the issue of the pending bills, which I think Honorable Ichung'wah spoke to, which have slowed the road construction in the country. So we must unlock the road construction in the country by paying the pending bills and pending bills of other service providers as well to enhance liquidity. So that is, in a nutshell, our economic growth. So if we work on those two, I am very certain that we can jump the economic growth of this country if the agricultural sector continues in the same trajectory and the weather patterns remain the same, and we continue to put more input or resources in providing input in the agricultural sector, and also the services sector, which is likely to remain robust, then we can realize at least 7% economic growth, which would then now lead to better job opportunities. So the other fundamentals that I wanted to talk about is inflation, where in 2022, October, the inflation was at 9.6%, I think almost all-time high. Maybe comparable only to the time before Kibaki came into power. Now that has drastically come down to 2.7%, the last reported inflation figures of October 2024. And is likely to remain around that, in that region, because in Kenya, inflation is basically driven by two factors. One is food, the prices of food commodities, and two is energy costs. The prices of food have been going down, and I've spoken to that because it is tied to agriculture. And then the prices or cost of energy has also been going down, more particularly the petroleum prices and even electricity costs has been going down. We just need to sustain and maintain and ensure that electricity costs goes down further, that it is not just a small adjustment in the electricity cost. So if that continues to come down, energy costs, then it will even boost production. The other factor, in Kenya, the other factor that usually contributes to high inflation across the globe is the cost, the housing cost. But in Kenya, housing is usually not a major driver of inflation. And you'll agree with me, the prices or the rental changes are very minimal. You will find someone stays in a house for about 5 years with very minimal adjustment in rental. In rental costs. So that is not a major driver as it is in the United States and other jurisdictions. Maybe one time it may be a factor, and that's why the government must also think proactively. Allow me, colleagues, to talk about another fundamental. The Kenya shilling has stabilized in the past 2 months in the region of 128, 129, 130, 131. And usually people say that when the currency, local currency strengthens, or economists say, when the local currency strengthens, it affects exports. We are seeing the opposite. Our exports are rising. So we are very comfortable with the shilling where it is. The exports are rising. Our balance of payment is getting better. It's improving by the day. Our reserve has recorded the highest in history at $9.5 billion US. That is almost 5 months of import cover. The last time we had a high reserve was in 2019 at 8.8 billion USD. And that was when we sold out, or we sold out a Eurobond and got 2.1 billion, which went into the reserve first. So X that, you remain with about 6.7 billion USD. This time, we took Eurobond, but we didn't take it to the reserves. It went direct to liability management. So this reserve that we are reporting is purely reserve out of better balance of payments. And it is also attributed to diaspora remittances, which has shown a sharp increase in terms of diaspora remittances. The last one that I want to talk about is the interest rates. This is where we have had a challenge. We had all these fundamentals working lately, and I had a problem in cracking my head and asking the governor, central bank, that we need to do something about interest rates. Because the high interest rates are fast crowding out private sector from the credit market. At the same time, it's making government borrow at inordinately high prices. I am happy to report that our interest rates have been coming down, even though banks have not been demonstrating the same by transferring that benefit to creditors. This week, no, I think it was last week, this week actually, the CBK governor held a meeting with bankers, the leading banks, to implore on them that we need to reduce the interest rates because the CBR rate has been lowered to 12%. I will give you figures. Now, about a month ago, our 91-day treasury bill had never traded below 15%. Actually, at one point, it was going to 18%. 16, 17, 18. But 4 weeks, I talked of 4 months, it's supposed to be 4 weeks ago. 1 month ago. So in the past 4 weeks, the interest rates have been going down every week. And the last week, Thursday, when we do auction, the 91-day Treasury bill traded at 12.4%. That is the price, the cost at which we borrowed. So those who may be wondering how is that beneficial? It is beneficial in 2 ways. One, that now the moment interest rates come down, it's supposed to be transferred to the private sector so that they also borrow cheaply, because government is borrowing cheaply. But two, it's helpful to us as a government, because when now we are taking new loans to service old ones, we will be replacing expensive loans with cheaper loans. And that will now reduce the cost of loan services, or debt servicing, which is inordinately too high. So those are some of the progresses that we are making. And some of these things, I know there are a lot of challenges in this country to the extent that the positive things are not really talked about. But I am giving you figures as they are. In fact, I was wondering when we had a meeting, PS, that for the first time, this country is not going to import sugar. All the times we have imported sugar, there has been a scandal. So this time, we may not import sugar. And now we must move. Maize we are not going to import because we have more than enough. Actually, we are giving out money to the government agencies to procure maize and put in stock for any future eventuality. We must also work on rice to be self-sufficient, edible oil to be self-sufficient, so that we reduce importation, which is putting pressure on our local currency. I know I have spoken a lot, but please allow me just to still say a few things, because probably I may not find another audience like this to engage you on some of these economic fundamentals. This is something that I cannot speak in Kibuye market or Gekomba market, because people will be wondering what you are saying. But I can confidently say it here because I know the audience is listening. I'm telling you, the number here is not small. If it was not you, 3/4 would be asleep. But if you look around, for those who are not seeing, I have the advantage of seeing all of you. I doubt whether there is anyone dozing, because you understand what I'm saying. So that is why I'm requesting for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, just to say a few of these things, so that even before you engage me by asking questions, there are issues that I've already addressed that you don't even now need to ask. I will have addressed so much that you may have very few questions. Yeah, but I'll not take too much time. Even as we do that, let us not even as I say all these nice things, let us not pretend that things are good. We are still in a hole, and we must come out of this hole. I don't want to help dig this hole deeper. It would reflect very badly on your profession. I think this is the second time an accountant is occupying the position or the docket of cabinet secretary at the Treasury. Out of 18 cabinet ministers or cabinet secretaries who have held this position that I'm privileged, and I thank God that I'm holding it. It came as a surprise. I also didn't even know. And came from a quarter I never suspected. But I am here, and I thank God for it. The others have mostly been economists. I don't want to leave this docket and people start saying we don't need any other accountant in that docket. I want to leave a mark. So I cannot sit at the Treasury and imagine and start telling you that things are okay. Things are not okay. Why do I say so? We are projecting in this financial year, 2024-25, to collect 3,060 billion. That is both tax revenue and non-tax revenue. The tax revenue is 2,631 billion. And those are projections. They are not real figures. Already July, August, and September, we missed the target. We only surpassed the target in the month of October. And then again, November, we had some technical challenges with the system at KRA, which is obsolete. But we are revamping it. So that is the good news. And you wonder why all these years that system has not been revamped. Don't we have visionary managers, people who see that a system used for 10 years can never, in this technological advancement and changes, how can you use a system, for heaven's sake, to collect revenue for an economy like Kenya, which is the leading economy in the region? You are using the same system for 10 years. Even hackers don't even need to think. So the system is we are putting watertight systems that will not be interfered with again. But what I wanted to say is that, look, we are projecting to collect 2,631 billion. And then we are collecting non-tax revenue of 429 billion. If you add that, you come to a figure of 3,060 billion. But look, out of that amount, 1.1, actually 1.2, 1.1 is going to 1,010 billion is going towards debt servicing. Net. And I'm sure you understand when I talk of net. And you are paying 190 pensioners and other constitutional office holders, the other CFS cost. So that is 1.2 trillion gone. Out of 3 trillion, you have 1.8 left. Our wage bill per month is 75 billion. So in 1 year, 900 billion. 900 billion from 1.8, you are remaining with only 900 billion. And that 900 billion, you transfer about 400 billion to counties. You remain with 500 billion, which CDF takes 54 billion. You have 440 something. Okay? NGAF takes its share. Equalization takes its share. You end up, and you know we have recurrent expenditure I've not even talked about. You have come from government offices. You have a per diem paid here. Isn't it? Those are operation costs. Per diem, tea we are drinking in offices. I don't know whether we still buy newspapers, flowers, transport costs, vehicles, governors and CSS with 5-6 vehicles around them. Weni mtu moja, gari tano. That one also consume money. So where do we get money for development? Loan. We borrow. That is why we are going to borrow 768 after the grant of 51 billion. So out of the expenditure of 3,880 billion for this year, we are collecting 3,060 billion. You remain with 820 billion. 51 billion is from grants. 768 is to be borrowed. 355 externally and 413 domestically. That's where we are. And at very high interest rates. So we must manage this. We must manage it in whichever way. And the only way to get out of this problem is to consciously, strategically, and consistently reduce budget deficit. Last year, the budget deficit was at 5.2%. It was projected at 5.7%. It came down to 5.2%, thank God. Now, we are programmed ourselves at 4.3%. We must be disciplined enough to actualize that. And then going to 2025-26, the budget deficit is projected at 3.8%. I want, when we are going for election, the budget deficit should be 3%. That is the only way we will get out of the debt trap that we are in. You know, I talked about this and people thought it was just a joke. They just took the hilarious part of it. that when we went to Washington, D.C., there is a way we were treated. Please don't look at the humor part of it. Look at the serious part of it. The humor part of it is what you already know. That yes, they didn't treat us so badly. By the way, IMF treated us so well. My team at the Treasury told me this is the first time that we have been treated a lot better. But look, you are given time. Chairman, you are given time to go and present your case. 2:15, you should be there. You arrive, Rwanda has not left the room. And Rwanda, I'm just giving an example. It's not that is what happened. I know we have representation here from Rwanda. I'm just giving an example. But we were with Rwanda there. And we were with your minister, very good friend of mine. Rwanda leaves, Kenya goes in. As you are there, you are told, it was nice having you, and now because of time, Nigeria is just about to come in. Again, Nigeria is just an example. What I'm saying is simple. Cabinet ministers, cabinet secretaries, we wear suits, we get into planes, fly all the way to Washington. First of all, you fly to Europe or to Qatar or wherever, 8 hours. You go lay over at the airport, 6 hours. You again fly to Washington, 8 hours to go and beg. What are you going to beg? IMF to give Kenya 195 billion shillings. 195 billion shillings is what IMF is giving us. In total, they only gave us some 78 billion, which is good. We thank them for that. And others, World Bank has $750 million, and OPEC, kidogo, up. Those are the multilaterals, and the African Development Bank. Then you go to bilaterals. Japan is very, very generous to us, and a few others, China. Look, if KRA enhances revenue collection by 2.5%, we would collect 400 billion more. And by the way, KRA is collecting 14.5% of GDP, but we have the potential of going all the way to 22% of GDP. Experts have opined that. With that 400, I don't have to go to Washington and take 12 days. Today, I don't want to talk about theft of public funds, because when I say what President Uhuru said, then they report that Mbadi has said. I only said it is President Uhuru who said that we are stealing 2 billion per day. And I asked, now, I'm just assuming if that 2 billion, we just make a decision as a country that, well, maybe we have a problem of not stopping theft, but let us steal half. I don't know whether that is making sense or I'm still making a mess of it. But I'm just thinking aloud that if there was, I know it is impractical to make that decision. But if we could make, those of us who are stealing, and we know ourselves, isn't it? If we just decide that, yes, the last year I stole 10 million. This year, I want to make as a New Year resolution that I'm not going to steal 10 million more. You know, you start from somewhere. Even people who are drug addicts, see, they are being weaned out pole. So we can wean you out slowly by reducing from 10 million to 5 million. If all of us reduce 50% in the first year, we will free 365 billion for the development of this country. Mbadi will not, 365, there is 355 which I'm going to look for out there. I don't even need now to go. 365 is already here. I have 10 billion change. Now the following year, you again reduce it by 50. Now you go to 25%. And then the third year, in the medium term, plan. So we have medium-term plan of 3 years. We also make a medium plan of 3 years. By 3 years, we are done with stealing. Now everyone is not stealing. Kenya is back to where it should be, where Singapore is. Let me give you what happened to me in Singapore. I went to have lunch. So immediately I finished is when I realized that I didn't have the local currency, I had dollars. So I gave them dollars. They said, no, we don't take this. So what do I do? Is there a bureau here somewhere where I can change? There is. But someone tells me, no, but here it is expensive. Imagine that. How many Kenyans will tell you that? That there is a place out there, it is about 300 meters away, where you can get it cheaply. So I said, okay, so can I go and get the change there and come and pay? He said, yes, go ahead. So me, I'm walking, thinking there's someone following me. Kuangalia mimi niko peke yangu. And I said, really? Then I remembered, kama ningekuwa Kenya, ningetoroka. But since I am here, this is how to learn. I went, got my change, brought back the money and paid. It's about morality. No matter how many pieces of legislations we can enact, if we don't change our mindset and perception about public resources and see them, just for example, go to commercial KCB or Coop Bank and ask those tellers the kind of money they are handling. How come they are just passing the money and putting them across, and by the end of the day they have balanced the books, they go home, and they are still as broke as we are? It's because they see the money as papers. Can you in your office see public resources, the public money that you manage, merely as papers? So that the temptation of dipping your fingers in public coffers is not encouraged. Allow me just to say maybe 2 more things in the next 2 minutes. I stop, because otherwise you may start well and end very badly. So we are making some changes, ladies and gentlemen, my professional colleagues, to help us in fiscal discipline. One, we are moving to accrual accounting. We have actually moved. Whether with challenges this financial year, the reporting will be on accrual basis. Some people who are not accountants ask, what is the benefit of accrual? In fact, my friend Okeo Mtata told me one time that you are confused. I looked at him. On what matter am I confused? Senator, this accrual you are talking about cannot work. This is a government collects money and spends. What are you talking about, that you are talking about accrual? So I said, hey, Senator, how can I be confused where accounting is involved? We understand what accrual is. It will help us manage our assets and liabilities better. Presently, we talk of owing money. The pending bills are just footnotes. No one is even accountable for them. We must capture all the loans. Omolo here will tell you he sits in the pending bills committee. They got bills worth 663 billion pending bills. They have verified about 408 billion, according to the report they gave me. They are still verifying others. They have to March, final date. I told them I'm not adding you any more day. Kenyans, we are bad manners. Task forces are formed and they stay in perpetuity. Their task force will come to an end in March. No more extension of time. That report will come, we pay the pending bills. So accrual basis is very... Now, even government is not clear on what is our asset base. We don't know. Our lands don't have title deeds. Things are in a mess. We must make sure that government is also run like a corporate entity. That is why we have had bad manners, which Ichung'wah was talking about here. Why can't we run the government as we run the corporate entities? Zero-based budget this year. You must explain every shilling you are asking for from Treasury. Justify it. Treasury single account. This is being resisted. Voila. You know you are in accounting services department. This will be done. Whether you resist or not, so long as I'm the CS, National Treasury, it will be done. This thing of resisting change will stop. Treasury single account. We want to see all the money the government has. E-procurement. Hey, interesting. I came to the ministry and asked, where is this e-procurement? We don't have 560 million to roll it out. 560 million? Yes. That is the first Article 223. The powers given to me as CS, National Treasury, I exercised it for the first time to provide money for the rollout of e-procurement. KRA reform, thank you. Oh, you also agree? Thank you. So I did the right thing, isn't it? KRA reform, you know that is public participation. KRA reforms ongoing, as I said. I don't want to dwell on that. So we are streamlining the absorption of development partner funding projects. We have commitments up to 2.6 trillion with development partners, locking our budget, Chairman. But only 880 billion is being absorbed, 33%. Finally, is the pending bills, is the elephant in the room. This we must crack. Already we are working with the CS roads, and I'm very happy with Waziri Chirchir. Very meticulous, very detailed. We have agreed on how to settle all the pending bills under the road sector, so that all our roads across the country, the contractors go back to work. But if there is anything about economic stimulus in the next budget, it must be to provide money for payment of other pending bills so that these Kenyans who are being auctioned can have liquidity, and that liquidity will get back to our economy, and the economy will grow. PPP, I don't want to talk about. Ichung'wah has talked about it. Ladies and gentlemen, let truth be told. We don't have fiscal space to develop major infrastructural projects in this country. We need the airport. The airport we have is a shame for this country. So we must do it through PPP. I am not calling for Adani. I don't even know who Adani is. Even if it is not Adani, someone else must do it. And let us, if we are real professionals, let us support things with facts. I mean, issues with facts. Like you see when you talk about this issue, Adani. And by the way, Adani has some issues, if you clearly check, some integrity questions asked across the globe. But who is also talking about the positive side of Adani? Those who have not been to India, I think for how many years? Almost 10 years now. But those who have gone to Mumbai, they say the airport is developed by the same person, and it is perfect. If we don't want Adani, let's get someone to do it. So long as the interests of the Kenyan public is taken care of, and so long as the project is developed. So I don't want to talk much about PPP. It's my pet. We will roll out not less than 5 projects this year under PPP. We will. I have already signed in my performance contract. If I have to retain my job, 5 projects under PPP must be implemented. The only thing I will ensure within my ability to do is that there is transparency in the implementation of the same. So my final comment will be, because Your Excellency, Governor, you are here. And unfortunately, and I'm sorry, my apologies, I didn't salute you or address you when I was making my initial comments. Governor, I know counties have issues. to sort out, because the money that we give you is not enough. And let us be honest with ourselves. Let's not pretend to be truthful men, and we are not. If we are truthful, let us be truthful. There is that dispute of 480 that I think we should resolve before December ends. Because after December, we will not have any legal basis to give money to counties. In one way or the other, we must resolve. We are one government. Kenya is not many governments. We are one government, just levels. We must resolve that. But what disturbed me was the statement from the Council of Governors. When I was being vetted, I committed myself before the people of Kenya that under my watch, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that counties run, that there is money in the counties. It hurts when I see reported information that I am frustrating the efforts of the counties when I am not. And I wanted to end there after saying so many things. That is where I'm ending. And I'm a truthful man. You see, these are the facts. These are the facts. And with the dates. In July, even before I became cabinet secretary, there was a balance that was carried over. For the county government, there were only 3 budget lines which were rebudgeted in 2024-25. The balance owing to the counties of 30.8 billion was rebudgeted. 13 billion to CDF was rebudgeted. And 26 billion arrears to pensioners was rebudgeted. So out of the 218 billion that was outstanding as pending bills by June 30th, 2024, leaving out a balance of over 151 billion unbudgeted for. These were budgeted. So on 26th of July, that 30.8 billion was transferred to counties, to their revenue fund. Then now that brings us to 2024-25. The month of August, we didn't pay anything to counties because there was still a dispute whether we should pay or not, whether we have the legal framework or not. I personally took the initiative of writing to the Attorney General to seek legal opinion from the government legal advice. Graciously, she responded in a record time and told me to go ahead and pay, that there is a legal space to do that, up to 50% of the previous year's allocation, which was 385 billion. If you divide by 2, that is 192.5 billion. So on 24th of September, I transferred 32.76 billion to the counties. For which month? Month of July. In October, 17th of October, we again transferred 30.8 billion for the month of August. That leaves now September and October. In November, last week, Thursday, 14th, we transferred another 32.76 for the month of September. That only left the month of October, which on Monday this week, 18th, we transferred 30.8 relating to October. As we speak, we have paid all the monies going to the counties from July, August, September, and October. That balance is cleared, and there is evidence, and I dare any governor to stand. We had a meeting yesterday with the chairman, and he told me, Waziri, I think we should have not gone that route. Next time we'll communicate better. So we only would be waiting to pay in November. So I wanted just to make it clear. I am not in this ministry to frustrate devolution. because I know how devolution has been in the heart of the Kenyan public. Whether there is management here and there, when a governor, please, let us work on own source revenue system. Let us agree. You know, you also giving me difficult time, man. You know, I'm the one who is responsible for accounting systems to work, whether for devolved government or national. But when we come up with a system, the governors, you feel like we are infringing and interfering with your independence, let us agree so that we have a standardized system. We cannot have a system where you go to Kiambu, a different system. You go to Nyeri, another system. Muranga, another system. Homa Bay, no. Let us standardize our system of revenue collection. Is that asking for too much? That's a simple ask. So I wanted just to clarify and make it very clear, Mr. Chairman, I have got a forum. God has provided me with a forum to now explain myself. I saw someone from Nyamira, another Kenyan, very distinguished Kenyan. Yeah, I wish he's listening to me. He said, you know, Mbadi said that Ruto has brought, we should give Ruto his skunk. And now Mbadi has become a worse skunk than Mbadi is lying that he has given counties money. I want to respond to that, my brother. I am not lying. We have given money to counties up to the end of October as we speak today. Controller of budget, please work with counties so that you make the transfer of money smooth. We don't want money again to be stuck at the CRF account because money should go to the people, to the people's pockets. There should be liquidity. Money that is withheld at the central bank is not helpful to anyone. And we don't want idle money anymore. This economy is choking of lack of liquidity. We want more liquidity to the counties. I don't know whether I have now annoyed you by saying it's too much. Allow me. Have you forgiven me for saying so much? Now I think there will be no questions. We just finished. I want to now declare this 41st Annual Seminar Edition 2 officially open. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I have the power to tell the Cabinet Secretary to sit, because he's my member anyway. Thank you very much, Waziri. I think I'll call upon the head of Secretariat now to bring something little. Council members, come on board. We need to honor him. And then PS, please. Quickly. I think council members are all here. They are sufficient enough. I also want to take this opportunity to announce that there will be a core African Congress of Accountants in Rwanda next year in May. We'll talk about it more. So with that opportunity, let me call the President of Rwanda to come and take a photo with us. Very quickly. The President of Rwanda, Institute of Rwanda. He's not there. So any member from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Rwanda can represent the chair. Important. Come up, come quickly. Johnson Mwakazi, we need to do the national anthem, and then we'll have only one question. He has answered all of them. One question from each venue. That's what I mean. One, just one. One question from each venue. Mwakazi, let's play the national anthem to close that particular session, and then we should be able to answer a few questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let us all be upstanding for the Kenya national anthem. Thank you so much. And now, the national anthem. Kindly take your seats, and as advised by the chairman.
Yes, Mwakazi, take just one question from each venue. One, please. Time is really spent. We have His Excellency, the Governor of Murang'a, Dr. Kang'ata, with us here, PLO professor here. The time is spent. So we will not take many questions, and I will tell you as the chair and the council of the institute, we are very much in touch with the CS. So you can also post your questions on Menti, and just to say, CS, your long speech, your long details of what you are doing, the figures, the billions. This is the day of the Lord. The Lord has made this day that you speak, but also we urge you to work collaboratively with the controller of budget, who is our member. So I think we can start in Pridin 2 very quickly. Mwakazi, please.
Absolutely. Pridin 2, one question, please. Go ahead. Name and question.
My questions go to presenter, who was elaborated very well on the presentations that he was making. And my concern is this, Mr. Kenyan. So clearly, we have seen that there is a very clear.
Please ask the questions directly. We do not have time for explanation. Just go straight, member, please.
My question is this: the money that we are contributing towards the low-cost housing, why don't we direct that money to agriculture for industrialization so that it can help us in dealing with the food security, it can help us dealing with the youth and employment?
Thank you. Affordable housing. Mheshimiwa, talk about it. Next, Pridin 1. Sorry, as your chair, I have to take charge of this. Pridin 1.
Okay, my name is Pietro Coin from Kajiado County Assembly, and my question is, during the rejected finance bill of 2024, the president said it is because of the communication and lack of information. Now, how is the executive doing this time around to make sure that the change of finance bill or tax is resonated or is being informed before it is acted? Thank you.
Sarova 1, Mwakazi.
Sarova 1? Sarova actually.
Sarova, yes.
We have a question from the virtual platform as well.
Yes, and then we move to the virtual platform. Quickly.
Yes. Thank you very much, CP Mbadi. I only have one question, and I have been sitting on the legislative committee of.
Ask the question, member, please. Just ask the question. Time is not there.
We have implementation of the PFM Act, such that accountants are sitting to be accountable for funds. we have a problem. Are you able to promise us that you will ensure at county levels and the national levels, all finances from the government is accounted for by members of this institute? Thank you.
Okay, online, virtual, Makazi.
Online, question. Honorable CPA Mbadi, you are a good man in whom we have great hope and expectation. However, you are like a sheep among wolves. How will you circumvent the self-interest and corruption practices in the government? Over to you, Chairman.
Thank you, thank you. Those are 4 questions. Mheshimiwa, take the floor.
Thank you very much. I want to now move very quickly in answering these questions because, again, I took so much time. So I don't want to take a lot of time. I know we are getting tired. Now, on the issue of affordable housing, why that money is not being taken to other priority areas, according to the questioner, I just want to make it very clear that governments come into office after campaigns. During campaigns, every political formation seeking political office sell their agenda and manifesto. When President Ruto with UDA and Kenya Kwanza, and remember I didn't belong to that formation at all, I was in another formation, they campaigned and asked the people of Kenya to give them votes, and one of their key pillars of development was affordable housing, to provide affordable housing. Therefore, it is a priority and a key pillar in government manifesto. There are 5 pillars. We have the transformation of agriculture to provide food security. That is what we call the better agenda. The number 2 is the housing, affordable housing. There is universal health coverage, and there is also SMEs, and then the digital super highway. Those are things that people of Kenya are assumed to have keenly checked when they went to the ballot and agreed to. We as Azimio then, now I'm in broad-based government, also we had our agenda, which is really not very different from what the agenda of Kenya Kwanza was, because we also had housing in our manifesto. But allow me not to go that route of discussing the details of what we said and what Kenya Kwanza said. That is immaterial today. I am in the government of William Samoei Ruto, helping him to realize his agenda and manifesto, which is sold to the people of Kenya. So you endorsed affordable housing. And I think affordable housing, to a large extent, my friends, we may have issues here and there. And I know where the problem is, that we didn't expect to be taxed. That is the elephant in the room. Hii ingine yote ni kusugarcoat tu. You don't want kutoa pesa. Hata mimi, I opposed. I didn't want the housing levy. But it is already there. So 2 things. Let us provide housing to Kenyans who cannot afford decent living. It looks terrible if we can eliminate it. And you go to Kibera, and I've lived in Kibera. I lived in Kibera even before I started work, when I was at the university with my cousin. I lived even 2 months into my employment. I left Kibera to another estate after getting my second paycheck. Let those who are living in those deplorable conditions be considered for housing. We just need to manage the implementation of this manifesto. In terms of money, Kenyans feel they are overtaxed. If you add all this, That is a question that we must address. We must address, and I've said it, I think you people are thinking I'm playing politics. Going forward, we must reduce taxes. We may leave housing levy, but we can reduce pay as you earn. So that is something that we must talk about. And as CS Finance, we must talk about it, especially where we see we are broadening the tax base. If we bring the personal income tax, we enhance it, and enhance rental income tax, and collect the correct VAT, because a lot of goods we are not paying VAT. If we do that in the next 1 or 2 years, we should be able to lower pay as you earn. So that the question is not whether it goes to SHIF, it goes to housing. What you want is some better package in your hand to go to the market and buy goods to promote economic growth. So that is what you want. So what we may need to discuss as a government is not to do away with the housing levy, but to make sure that overall tax is manageable to Kenyans. That is where the problem is. Number 2 question is the finance bill of 2024 died because of poor communication. True. Lack of communication from the government, executive, and better communication from the opposition. You know, I've been telling my colleagues in government now that my work in the opposition was not, if there were 90 provisions, 90 in the bill, 90, and 85 are good and 5 are bad, it is not my business to sell the 85. I go for the 5 and make sure that you understand the 5. And so the whole thing becomes bad. And that is what I did in the opposition. See, I did my job perfectly well. Now that I'm in government, it is my duty to say the good things that are good about the bill. So this time I started by engaging Kenyans to give their opinion. When we got it, remember, for the first time, we did not just publish the amendments in the newspapers of wide circulation. Standard, Nation, Star. We put an explainer for that person who is not an accountant, tax expert, finance expert, economist, any ordinary Kenyan who can read and understand based on the explainer. So that is one step that we took. We have been engaging. I even held a town hall meeting at Daystar University. I think for the first time, you saw a CS, a Minister for Finance, sitting up to midnight to explain tax proposals. I am telling Kenyans, if there is anything wrong with the proposals that I've made, if there is something you have an issue with, bring it out. The process is still with Parliament. We have started another public hearing. Put it to us. I will go to Parliament with further amendments and ask Parliament, I have since determined that Kenyans are not comfortable with this provision. Please take it off. But don't talk about, like those people out there, things which are not in my bill. Like when you talk about diapers being taxed, hiyo ni bill yako si yangu. That is not there. Making sure that accountants are involved in, I think we are moving to that, Chairman. There should be no head of accounting unit, head of finance unit, who is not qualified accountant, who is not an accountant. By the way, if you are not an accountant, you are not an accountant. There is nothing like qualified accountant and unqualified accountant. If you are not an accountant, it means you are not an accountant. If you are not a member of the institute, how can you, where have you met someone called a qualified lawyer and an unqualified lawyer? Maybe PLO, you will tell us if there is anything like that. Either you are a lawyer, you are an advocate, or you are not. Hii accountant yetu, quacks masquerade, and they also at the account qualified. And then you also give them room to start terming some as unqualified. Some, if you are an accountant, you are an accountant. If you are not, you are only involved in accounting services. Like someone who could also support a lawyer by carrying documents, going to court. Yeah. And you know, you can also prepare some notes for the lawyer to go and prosecute, the advocate to go and prosecute the case. You are not an accountant, you are not. Don't get into our space. Find your own space. Chairman, they should find their own spaces. Now, in terms of accountability, there is that bit that says accounting officer. Accounting officer should be a PS. PSs don't have to be accountants, all of them. So that is the only difference. But head of units, if there are some who are not accountants, then I can streamline that and make sure that only accountants are heading our accounting unit. We are very many now. We should not allow ours, otherwise we will be unemployed. We don't want very many unemployed accountants. We will make young people not to take course of accounting. Last one, I hope this is the last, that I'm a good man. Or am I a good man? Among the wolves. I have not seen the wolves since I joined the government. Aurelia, have you seen any wolves? But if they are there, we will have to eliminate them. Why do we run away from the bad elements amongst us? It is them to take off. I am not a quitter. I'm not one who is so easily shaken, because I believe I've earned my space. My father is not prominent. Do you know my father? So I have earned my space where I am. So I can't just be intimidated, blackmailed. What? No. If there's any wolf around, I'll tell, if I can't deal with that wolf myself, I'll tell the person who can deal with him and her. And if it's the president, the person I can report to, Senate President and the Deputy President, the presidency. And the president has told me, Mbadi, I've given you free hand. Make sure your ministry is streamlined. If anything is not done, I will not blame President Ruto. It is me. The buck stops with me. If there is a problem, I will go and tell him, boss, hapa kuna shida. Sindio? So why are you making it appear? Who said that? Please, don't make it appear like I'm a slave. Like I'm put there and I have no options. No. I am not a slave. I am enjoying my work. Don't fall to these people who are saying I've lost weight. If I've lost weight, it is deliberate. It's not out of stress. Thank you.
Hebu tumpigie makofi. Thank you very much, Waziri. I think he has earned his salary today as a minister and a CPA for that matter. Si anatosha? Okay, thank you. So siku ingine tukisema anatosha, msituulize maswali sana. Kidogo tu. So thank you very much. We've come to an end of this program. For now, we are running late, but we've managed to see how we pick it up. Catherine, you may come forward. So we have a program for the CEO in terms of some trip planning, but there's a break we are taking. Just come and guide the process. So we will be able to move out and then take a break. So on behalf of the CEO, Catherine.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, delegates. We are having a tree planting session in line with the climate change theme. So that will be done by our chief guest. For the rest of us, we are going to have a brief health break right now for 15 minutes. And our next speaker is here with us, Professor PLO Lumumba, who is going to take us through the next session. So kindly let's take our health break, and I give up to Mwakazi for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. 15-minute break. Remember, PLO Lumumba is here. 15 minutes. Get your drink, get whatever you'd get.